Hey, beautiful souls.
Welcome to Bitter to Beautiful. I am Coach Charmin D, energetic, heartfelt, and always keeping it real.
And I'm Coach Lonette, more reserved, tenacious, honest, and a little funny,
Together, we're here to guide you through transforming your bitterness.
into something truly beautiful. Join us on this journey of healing and empowerment.
Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Bitter to Beautiful. I am your host, Coach Charmin D, and I am so very thrilled. You know why I'm thrilled? Because we're kicking off season 2
Whoop,
with
whoop, whoop.
a new focus.
That's right, Coach Charmin. Hey, beautiful souls. I'm Coach Lonette, and season 1 was all about what bitterness looks like in friendships. And whoop, we went deep. We're still talking about I love you, but I don't like you. So we talked about from betrayal to broken bonds. We peeled back layers that many of us didn't even know were still there.
What about your friends? wait, let me stop. Okay, I'm not a singer. I'm not a singer. And now we're stepping into season 2, where our theme is what bitterness looks like in family relationships. And because, let's keep it real, some of our deepest wounds and strong silences come from closeness in our family. Let's think about it. Family will do you. Okay, let me not say that. I'm being nice. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, that silence comes from the closest to us that are in our family. But today's episode is called The Burden of Unspoken Words, Healing from Family Silence. Part 1, because this is going to get good. We're going to discuss family secrets and how we can start having those difficult conversations instead of avoiding them. We're diving into how silence, unspoken hurt, and emotional distance can build walls of bitterness. But don't worry, we're going to help you tear down those walls with grace, love, and truth.
Grace, love, and truth. So let's ground this conversation with the word. We always bring the word in. It is our core, it is our foundation, and Jesus is our center. Proverbs 15:1, the NIV version says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." And this reminds us that those tones and timing, let me say that again. This reminds us that the tone and timing of our conversation matter. Silence may feel safer than a harsh word, but unspoken truth can create deep, deep damages. What do you think, Coach Lonette?
Well, one verse that always brings it home is Colossians 3:13. Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. Emphasis on the must.
Mm-hmm.
It's the act of forgiveness that begins to break the silence. It's what keeps bitterness from settling into the cracks of our family relationships and helps us make room for grace.
Make room for grace. May I say that again? Make room for grace. Listen. We know we got that cousin we ain't been speaking to for the last 5, 6, 7 years because they said something we didn't like. And the word of God tells us we need to forgive. How many times did he tell us to forgive, Lonette? Coach Lonette, how many times?
70 times 7.
Ooh, that's a lot. So listen, if you, okay, let me move on. So here's something for us to reflect on. Have you ever held back words you wish you had said to a family member? What stopped you? And what do you think it cost you emotionally and spiritually? So before I turn this over to Coach Lonette, I want you guys to think about this discussion question deeply. Take some time, okay? You can send us an email to hello@bitter2beautiful.com with the subject lines B2B DQ episode 57 and share your thoughts about this conversation. Or you can leave a comment on Spotify. Let us know what you think. Have you ever held back words you wish you had said to a family member? What stopped you, and what do you think it cost you emotionally and spiritually? Coach Lonette, what do you think?
All right. So let's get on. Oh, no, sorry. I've held back words a number of times to answer your question. Truth, because I was taught not necessarily to express myself, but that certain expressions of yourself were wrong. I was taught to show mercy. I was taught, blessed are the peacemakers, for they may be called the sons of God, right? I was taught all of that. But I don't recall being taught a different perspective, and in that the truth should be spoken, so that you don't keep this stuff internally, so that you don't keep it all inside, and develop a quiet anger, a silent anger, as I did. Because I did not speak up or was taught to really speak up. Some people tried. It became innate. And I held back a lot of words over the years, and I just kept it to myself. I would pray, I would talk to the Lord, but I really should have opened my mouth and spoke to the person or the people that hurt me or offended me. I think that sometimes we forget that if we don't speak up about something, especially if someone caused us an offense or any type of hurt, then they are liable to continue, especially if they're not aware. If it's intentional, that's something different. And for me, as I said, it created a silent anger where I felt these things. I wanted to speak up, but I wasn't necessarily empowered to. And that silent anger is real, because if you ever held on to something or swept something under the rug for years and years and years, guess what? It tends to blow up, or it may tend to get uncovered. If you have too much stuff under the rug, it creates a lump at some point, right? And so it's very important that we learn how to articulate our feelings in a way that is graceful, in a way where we can let it go. One of the things that we can do is cast our burdens unto the Lord.
Wow, that was good, Coach Lonette. That was definitely good. You know what? One of the things I do realize, and we talk about it a lot, because who we are is based on the foundation and the environment that we grew up in. So a lot of the ways we respond to things is based on what our mom or our dad taught us. Sometimes, and I don't know, I'm going to speak for me, I now have learned that, listen. The way you was raised was the way you was raised. Good, the bad, and the ugly. You got to kind of move with it. But what you do is when you get older, you do better. You learn and you do better. So yes, I have held back some things that I wish I would have said. And not because I don't like starting drama. I was always the type of kid that I'll take the hurt, I'll take the pain, so I don't say something to hurt somebody else.
Right.
But I realized that holding things in makes you heavy and disconnected, and then you avoid the person. I mean, that's what I would do. It makes you heavy and disconnected. So I've had to learn how to process through things instead of me holding it in, saying it, especially when it comes to spiritually, because that makes you, how are you able to fully release what you're going through if you don't want to say or don't want to tell the person who has maybe put you in a space, in a place? How do you release it fully to God if you're not able to express it? So I've learned, and I say this to my girls all the time, say it in love. Like sometimes you have, it's necessary sometimes to speak, to get stuff off of your shoulders, but say it in love. Because if God is asking us or telling us, one of the things he says to us is that we have to forgive and we have to let go of things. How do we forgive and let go of things if we don't address them? So it's necessary to address. What do you think, Lonette? It's necessary definitely to address. Speak up. That's what I'm saying. Just remember, speak in love. Go ahead, Lonette. What do you think?
It's very important that we do speak in love. One of the things that I've done for years is I've sugarcoated, and it's because I have seen people tell their truth, but there was no love. There was a lot of anger and emotions, and you feel what you feel, right? But then one of the fruit of the spirit is self-control. And if, anger is an emotion, hurt is an emotion. They're all emotions. You're human. You're going to feel these things, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to explode. You don't have to explode all the time. And when you continue to sweep things under the rug and ignore things and act like it didn't happen without addressing it, you're bound to explode. And it may not even be at the person that you're upset with. It may, you may take it out on someone else, right? It's redirected to someone else. So you have to be mindful and really begin to express yourself if you're not already. It's not a hard thing, but it is, when you're not used to it, one of the hardest things to do is to approach someone and say, and be vulnerable and say, hey, you hurt me. When you did A, B, and C, you hurt my feelings. And as adults, your feelings can get hurt. So it's not a child thing, or it's an adult. It's addressing it. You hurt my feelings. Or when you did that, it really made me upset or angry, whatever the emotion is. And learn how to keep your cool. Mm-hmm. Learn how to live in peace. Learn how to have self-control. Know when enough is enough, and you can decide, okay, maybe we should put this conversation on pause and come back to it, right? Mm-hmm. But to thine own self be true, says Shakespeare. You got to know yourself. And even if you have to rehearse it, you don't have to mention the person's name. Rehearse it with somebody who's wise, who has godly wisdom, right? And say, okay, this is how I want to address it. How does this sound? Rehearse it. Mm-hmm. All right. Coach Charmin, you wanted to add something to that?
You know what? One of the things we also need to, and it's because it can be a positive and it can be a negative. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anybody remembers, and I might be dating myself. Back in the day, we said we're just keeping it real. Mm. So here's the positive thing. So, because basically what keeping it real really meant was being honest, authentic, and true to who you are. No pretending, no sugarcoating. It's about speaking truth with love, owning your feelings, and showing up your genuine self, even when it's uncomfortable. But, because, when we were saying it's keeping it real back in the day, it was something a little bit more harsh. That it's not about being harsh or rude. It's about being real with grace. And it means saying what needs to be said, standing on values, and not hiding behind masks to make people feel bad. So, yes, our definition back in the day of keeping it real was being rude, nasty, disrespectful, and just letting you know how I felt with nothing on it. It didn't come with sugar. It didn't come with milk. It came with just harsh words. But keeping it real really means to be honest, to speak in love, speak the truth in love. I just wanted to interject and say that. Back to you, Coach Lonette.
I think that some people thought that keeping it real meant to just be honest, without grace, without self-control, to just express yourself, and that's keeping it real. Mm-hmm. It is not keeping it real. It is losing control over your emotions. Being real, like Coach Charmin said, is being honest with your feelings. And sometimes your feelings may come out loud. Sometimes they may come out in tears. Sometimes it may be a slam of a door, right? But we're going to try to practice some more self-control and recognize that we do have feelings, but also remember that the person on the other end who you're communicating with has feelings as well. So talking about let's keeping it real, when dislike breeds bitterness, we're going to keep it real here, right? Bitterness doesn't usually show up out of nowhere. It often begins quietly, tucked inside the spaces where hurtful moments go unspoken and expectations are left unmet. Bitterness often takes root when frustration is buried instead of voiced. Buried instead of voiced. When emotional needs go unnoticed, or when we feel disconnected, especially in families. We may love them deeply, but unspoken pain has a way of creating distance that love alone can't always bridge. So let's start to break the silence, because silence in families is often passed down through generations. It's a generational thing, right? Breaking the silence can create healing, not just for you, but those who come after, generations after. Think of your children and your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your nieces and your nephews. Just remember, what we don't talk about, we tend to repeat.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to rip the Band-Aid off. And sometimes, especially, I have hair on my arms and I've gotten cuts on my arms. And you try to rip that Band-Aid off, it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts. It's almost like you got cut again. Right? It hurts when you rip that Band-Aid off, but sometimes that's what it takes. And then what a lot of people don't realize or shy away from is that's when the healing begins.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you have that cut on your arm and you take the Band-Aid off, you're still going to have a soft scab. The scab is part of the healing, right? And unless it gets the air that it needs, it won't heal the way that it's supposed to. Eventually, when you have a Band-Aid or a bandage or anything, the Band-Aid is going to have to come off to get the air so that the skin can regenerate. I took nursing, y'all. Right? It's gonna have to regenerate. Sometimes the truth just has to be exposed, and it will cut deeply. People may stop talking to you or another loved one. They may be angry, but guess what? It's out there now. It's out there now. Give yourself permission to speak your truth, and take a deep breath. And say this, just repeat after me. I give myself permission to speak the truth with grace. I give myself permission to speak the truth with grace. Now you can take out a journal or a voice recorder and just express those feelings that you want to tell the person or the people group, whether they are still alive or no longer here, and review that to see if there's anything in your message that needs to be amended. Does it need to be changed? Is it too harsh? Is it too strong? Because remember, there's still somebody on the other side who has to hear this message. And let's reflect on Luke 12:2-3. The time is coming when everything that is covered up will be revealed, and what you have whispered in private rooms will be shouted from the rooftops for all to hear. Now, we don't want all our business out in the street, right? So let's try to do it the right way as much as possible. Sometimes you may have to bring a wiser or certified third party into the mix to make sure that everything that needs to be uncovered is revealed in the best way possible. So while God doesn't want to shame us, He brings truth into the light so that healing can begin. It can be easy sometimes, but it can also be hard and relies on someone who is brave enough or tired enough to expose it so that healing can begin.
Wow. You know what stuck out to me, Lonette, what you mentioned? Give yourself permission to speak with grace.
The truth.
Yeah, the truth. But give yourself permission. It's okay for you to say it.
Right.
Because keeping it in is going to make you bitter. You know what we say about that. So let's turn this over to a relatable scenario. This is the scenario. Imagine a daughter who's never told her mother how abandoned she felt growing up. She smiled at every holiday dinner, but inside there was a deep ache and resentment. Instead of talking about it, she grew up more distant over time. And that's the burden of unspoken words. Can I just tell you? This scenario is closer than any to me, because I struggled with that growing up. I struggled with feeling like I was abandoned. I struggled with feeling like I was rejected from my mom and my dad. I love them both dearly, and we've gotten past that. My dad is not here; he transitioned. But my mom, we gotten past it. But for many, 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 many years, I felt like, because I was the oldest, my mom had me when she was a teenager, and I had two younger sisters, and she had a young sister that she had to take care of because she lost my grandmother early on. So I felt like I was like an outcast, but I wasn't an outcast. They kind of shipped me with my grandmother here and shipped me with an aunt here. And it felt some type of way. And I really had to deal with it. But we have to understand one thing, that silence in families doesn't always mean peace. It often signals unresolved pain, and secrets and emotional gaps can create more of an issue than we think. We really have to be mindful. And can I be honest? I didn't think it meant anything. I thought that I was sitting in this feeling until I talked to an elder. Thought I was just sitting in this feeling and I was okay. And I really wasn't, because deep inside, it was hurting me. Because when you don't address things, it hurts. So let me let you know how it looks. It makes your distance. Low key, you're avoiding people because you don't want to be around them, because you know you have something that you have to say, but you don't want to say, and you don't want to express it because you don't know how they're going to respond. Then your smiles are forced. You're walking around with a mask, and it creates so many other things that creates dysfunction. Because how can you be functional if you're holding on to something that makes you dysfunctional, especially something similar to being abandoned? And I'm not saying that everybody's dysfunctional because of being abandoned. I'm saying that's how I felt. I felt unable to function because of that feeling, although I was masking it. So that it might sound weird, but listen, we find ways to cover stuff up. We find ways. Coach Lonette.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I dealt with abandonment with my parents as well. And I actually addressed it almost 10 years ago with my dad. And just like I talked about ripping that Band-Aid off, I traveled to another country to rip the Band-Aid off because I needed to heal. And I realized that hurt and abandonment that I felt was affecting other relationships in my life. And once I got to the root of that, I took a trip and I addressed it. At first, it did not go well. But I would say it opened the door to more conversations. And ripping that Band-Aid off was the best thing that I did, because it really begun my journey of healing and letting these things go. So it's so important that we learn, even with the deepest aches, that we don't build the resentment. I was in my late 30s at that time, and for a while I held on to that. And when I let it go, even though it didn't go well initially, I felt good. I felt a release. Like I finally was old enough and brave enough to speak up about that.
Wow. That's good, Coach Lonette. That's really good. That is really good.
All right, so now we're going to discuss how we can unmask and prevent bitterness. So if we're going to move from bitter to being beautiful, we have to call bitterness what it is, especially when it's been hiding in silence. You can't heal what you won't acknowledge. You cannot heal what you will not acknowledge. Ephesians 4:31, which is our base scripture verse, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander. Instead, be kind to each other, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, just as God in Christ has forgiven you. And that's the New Living Translation. This verse is a heart check. Check your heart. It reminds us that bitterness doesn't just disappear. It must be uprooted and replaced with grace and forgiveness. So how do we now unmask bitterness with our family members? Pay attention to your triggers. Notice who or what brings up tension in your spirit. Is there a relationship that instantly makes you feel heavy or resentful? Well, that's a sign to investigate and dig just a little deeper to get to the root. Then check your words and your tone. Check your words and your tone. Check your words and your tone. I would even add your facial expressions. Check your body language. Are sarcasm, silence, or passive-aggressive remarks your go-to? These often point to unspoken pain. Please be mindful of that. And if you don't, ask an honest friend or ask someone that's not a friend and they'll be honest. Be honest in prayer. Ask God to reveal where bitterness has been hiding in your heart. He's not afraid of your honesty. He welcomes it. How to prevent bitterness from taking root? Speak in love. Don't let silence fester. Now, let me say, I process when I'm going through things because I want to make sure that when I do speak up about the situation, it will be as graceful as I can make it to be. I also pray about it, but I can't let the silence go on too long because it will turn into resentment, and I don't want that. I don't want to feel it anywhere in my body, and I really don't want others to feel it. Right? Use calm, thoughtful words to express how you feel and what you need. Truth and love go hand in hand. Pray before you speak, think before you speak, invite God into the conversation. Even before you speak with the person, open up in prayer. It helps. It absolutely helps. Ask for wisdom, peace, and the right words at the right time. Timing is everything. Seek godly counsel. Sometimes you need a trusted friend, mentor, or spiritual advisor to help you process your pain and find a healthy way forward. So just because you don't like someone or like how someone treated you doesn't mean that you failed to love them. In fact, speaking the truth with grace might be the most loving thing you do for them and for yourself, because we're commanded to love.
Yes.
But not like.
I was going to say that, but
you were waiting, I know.
But again, we are going to opposite sides when it comes to this, because the word commands us to love, but I don't honestly believe that God is telling us to love and not like. But that's just my opinion. I'm going to keep it. We can agree to disagree and keep it moving. So one of the things that stood out to me, Coach Lonette, when you said call bitterness what it is, I've had so many people tell me I'm not bitter. Why you think I'm bitter? So let me just give you the street example. If you ain't speaking to that aunt or that cousin or that nephew or that niece or that sister or that auntie on your brother's the auntie on your father's side, or that cousin that's a half cousin through your cousin, nephew, uncle, yeah, because something was said behind your back, or because something was said in your face and you didn't like it and you just if you're not speaking to them.
I would also add, because somebody else is not speaking to them and you're not speaking to them,
because you're jumping on somebody's bandwagon. Somebody's like, I do that with my friends. Pray for me. I'm being listen, I'm gonna be reflective. No, is it? No, what does the Dr. Tabitha say? I'm going to be transparent so you can be reflective. Let me just tell you how I would say to my friends, like, are we speaking to them? Like, is that our friend? Are we cool with them? Because sometimes I'm out of the mix because we're not around each other all the time. So I would say that, but you know what? Don't do what I do. I'm telling you.
Don't do what she does.
Exactly. Do not. It's not of God. It's not of God. So just back again, we're doing this in a joke, but it's real. The word of God does not, listen, the word is the word, inspired by God. Whether you believe anything else, it is inspired by God. So if he's telling you that you need to forgive and let go and move past things, you need to forgive, let go and move past. I ain't saying y'all got to be buddies. I ain't saying y'all got to be best friends. I'm saying forgive, move past, and let go.
If someone steps on my toe 10 times, it's
10.
up to me. It's up to me. So take another route. It's up to me. So they won't step on my toe again. I still love them, but I'm not giving them the opportunity.
Don't give them the opportunity.
Step on my toe.
I understand. I totally understand. Remember, truth and love go hand in hand. So here are some practical steps. Start small. Write a letter even if you never send it. Get the emotion out. Write it. Auntie, I did not like the way you was talking about my mama, and I got an issue with you, but I'm going to forgive you and let it go. And rip the letter up. She ain't got no. Well, maybe you need, you got to think about that. Pray about it. Give it to the Lord. Practice gentle truth telling. Use I felt statements, not accusations. Example, I felt hurt when I didn't feel supported. That sounds good. Okay. Those are biblical rooted. These are biblical rooted in speaking the truth in love. Ephesians 4:15. That's actually a good step. Use I felt. Express it, but don't accuse. Because they might respond differently if you're accusing. Tell them how you feel. Be honest. What do you think, Coach Lonette?
Well, I would say, so later in life, I was taught to speak the facts, even though your feelings, because truthfully, your emotions can lie to you.
You could be delusional. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Your emotions can lie to you. You feel what you feel, but it's not. It's probably because you misunderstood something. So in all that get understanding, that's very important, that you get understanding in this situation. And just because somebody else hurt you in the same way doesn't mean another person is going to hurt you in the same way. We have to remember that we were brought up in different households with different parents, with different backgrounds, and you're coming together and thinking, even though we're talking about families, there's in-laws and there's friendships and there's, marriages. There's two different people raised two different ways. Even if they were your neighbor, you still grew up in two different houses, right? And it makes a difference. So using feelings like I felt really speaks to what you felt, and you can still get understanding, but it's so important that you state the facts of how you felt and get the understanding. Listen, don't listen to respond, listen to hear what the person is saying, and a lot of arguments will be diffused if we begin to do that. So we have some statistics and some facts. 71% of adults say unresolved family tension negatively affects their mental health, says the 2023 Mental Health Wellness Report. Silence in families is one of the top 3 reasons people avoid family gatherings, especially during holidays.
Wow. You're not coming to Thanksgiving dinner because you mad at Auntie Sue. Really, you're missing out on coming together. One of the things that I realized, especially after going through what we did with COVID, family is so very important. So important. Prior to that, my family and I barely talked. We were also very busy. During COVID, we started a family call. And every Sunday we get on a call. We might get on each other's nerve and we might say we're bad, but we love each other. And now for the last several years, we've been going on family vacations, and We all look forward to it. Family is so very, 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 very important. We have that. Come on now. Come on. Is it worth it? Thank you. Is it worth it to hold something against somebody? They probably done moved on, don't even remember it. Is it worth it? Go ahead and speak. Go ahead and say what you need to say so you can move on and let go and get that stuff off your shoulders so you can go to Thanksgiving dinner, because grandma macaroni and cheese is real good with that cornbread and collard greens. You don't want to miss that. Come on. So today we've learned, in closing, that unspoken words carry weights, but we don't have to carry them forever. With grace, honesty, and God's help, healing is possible. Remember, Proverbs 15:1 and Colossians 3:13. Colossians 3:13. I said that wrong, but okay. Coach Lonette.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for joining us for part 1 of the Burden of Unspoken Words. Be sure to come back next week for part 2, where we'll go even deeper into real life examples, spiritual guidance, and how to truly break the silence. Let's just be like Elsa. Let it go. Subscribe. Leave a review by visiting bittertobeautiful.com for updates and resources. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite streaming site. And until next time,
stay beautiful,
stay bold,
and stay blessed.
As we wrap up today's episode, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to you, our listeners. Transitioning from bitter to beautiful isn't just a moment, it's a movement, a continuous journey of transforming pain into power, one heart at a time.
And to all our first-time listeners, welcome to the family. We are a community of souls committed to healing, growth, and transformation. Click on the link in the bio to subscribe to our mailing list and tune in every week. When you subscribe, you'll also receive information about our live pop-up rooms on Clubhouse.
As we embrace life's journey and find the beauty in overcoming bitterness, remember, bitterness isn't beautiful. And your healing is just the beginning of a beautiful new chapter.
Don't forget, new episodes are released every Saturday. Whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Listen Notes, there is a space for you here to find healing, inspiration, and strength.
Thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep embracing the journey, keep healing, and keep transforming. Here's to turning all our bitter experiences into beautiful victories. See you next time.